Okay.
So I think we're live now.
I can't see it myself. Can you find it, Liam?
Yeah, just came up. Yeah, just
Oh, okay,
refresh.
just now. All right.
Yep.
So
Okay.
too.
Yeah, we're good to go. We're good to go.
Mm.
Perfect. Sorry for the inconvenience.
No worries at
No, not
all.
at all, man.
It's the
Technology, you love it and you hate it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we'll wait if there come some people in the live stream.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I think it will take some time.
And it's recorded, is it, as well? So it'll
Yeah,
stay
it
there.
will. Yeah, it will stay there on the channel, so people can view it afterwards as well.
Perfect.
Awesome.
So I think there are a few views right now already, and the other viewers will watch it back later.
Okay.
Let's kick off.
Yeah, let's kick off. So that's all right. So yeah, thanks for hopping on this live stream.
No
Here on
problem.
the
Thanks
Cardano-
for having us.
Yep.
Yeah,
Thank you for having
perfect.
us.
Here on the Cardano News channel about Cardano. So yeah, the point of this meeting is just I wanted to ask you a few questions about your project Wingriders. Yeah, I think it's a really interesting project, and I also want to show it to my viewers and let them know more about it. So yeah, to start with, can you please briefly introduce yourselves?
Sure. Yeah, I'll keep it as brief as possible. My name is Karen. I'm the spokesperson for Wingriders. And yeah, so I've been involved in the space nearly 10 years now and got actively involved on the trading and kind of, portfolio management side of the business. So I'll keep it brief. That's kind of my introduction.
Cool.
Yeah, my name's Liam. I'm the CMO of Wingriders. I've been involved since sort of November when we came out of stealth. I've been in crypto not quite as long as Karan, since about 2017, 2018. I was mainly focused on Ethereum projects. I work on a decentralized exchange on Ethereum called OAX, which is still around. I've worked as CMO for a couple of different blockchain firms. And the Wingriders was my first project on Cardano, but I was really impressed with the team, so I was interested to get involved.
Cool. Interesting. So yeah, for the viewers that don't know the project exactly, can you explain more about what is Wingriders exactly?
Sure. Yeah, we're essentially automated market making DEX and on Cardano, built on Cardano. The reason we decided to obviously build on Cardano is a third generation blockchain with lots of advantages. We're essentially non-custodial, so your funds, when you're doing a swap, stays in your wallet, so no exchange has it. Like a centralized exchange like Binance or one of those ones. We're also obviously permissionless, trustless, some people call it as well. So you don't have to trust an intermediary to carry out these operations. And yeah, so there's various things you can do on the DEX, from giving liquidity, providing liquidity to liquidity pools, where you earn off of essentially swap fees, a percentage of those. Also, you can farm, so you can take those LPT tokens that are given to you as a portion of your liquidity provided into a pool and take them and farm and gain some extra bits and pieces there. So essentially, you can, for instance, put ADA and another asset in there, and you can earn via those LPT tokens in a farm. Also, your ADA, now it's voted on, so people who provide liquidity to an ADA and a second pool, say Meld, for instance, they can actually now vote where they want their ADA to be staked, and obviously they get a return on that as well. And also now the latest feature is our governance feature that we just launched from this weekend, and that's going to be getting much more extensive. And essentially, it's about how you kind of first of all, what holdings you have in terms of WRT, which is our token, and where it's held, and that kind of all the good stuff there. We can talk about that in a little while. But that's essentially what we are. We're also powered by Vacuum Labs, which are one of the most respected development teams within the Cardano space, and they've been here since the inception. And yeah, that hopefully should explain what Wingriders is.
Cool. That's interesting. Do you have something to add to that line?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just worth, we think about ourselves as a DEX first, but also really as an infrastructure piece of Cardano second. And what do we mean by that, right? Like Cardano is a really growing blockchain. If you look over the last 12 months, it has more commits than even Ethereum. So that means that more people are contributing to code bases for dApps and other projects building on Cardano. And there's a reason for that. Largely, Cardano has been a little bit slow to get going, but that's because there's a lot of thought that goes into, the problems that we see on Ethereum now with gas prices, which is really, I mean, it's insurmountable, right? Like if you are trying to do trades on a regular basis on Ethereum, you can be paying a couple $100 pretty regularly. Cardano sort of took a little bit longer to get prepared, and I guess your viewers and listeners would know that. For us, it's only sort of the September last year that Plutus scripts are available, right? So that the functionality that allows the DEX to take to launch came in then. So as the whole Cardano ecosystem grows, a really stable, secure platform that can provide swap functionality and DeFi functionality to the Cardano ecosystem is really important. So we think about it that way as well. We're a DEX. Yes, we are a DEX, and that's our main claim to fame. That's why people are getting involved. They're doing swaps and providing liquidity. But we really see ourselves as an infrastructure piece to the whole Cardano blockchain.
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting to hear. For the viewers, by the way, you can always ask all your questions in the comment section, and I will ask them to Karen and Lime as well. So yeah, what I had on mind, like you also did the IDOs. Can you tell us about the IDOs you have had? Like I heard about Vent, Comroser, and Deomaker. Can you tell us something about it?
Do you want to kick that off, Liam?
Yeah, no worries. So we in January when we first started thinking about how we were going to do the IDO, we were going to be very vanilla, right? We were just going to go with Card Starter, maybe one other platform, straight IDO on Cardano platforms. And we saw some of the problems that Sunday Swap had, right? There's always an opportunity cost for being the first. Sunday Swap had problems with Card Starter, and we sort of thought, well, we'll reconsider this whole thing. So we actually put a vote to our community. Our community was a little bit over 4,000 then. And it was our first pre-DAO vote, and it was actually our most popular vote to date. More than 50% of our community voted, and they voted. There was quite a lot of interest in a direct sale, us selling directly to our consumers. So we did that through our whitelist. Then they recommended 5 different IDO platforms to us. We spoke to all those IDO platforms, and 3 of those we moved ahead to contract stage. So that was Vent, Occam, and DAOmaker that you've mentioned. So Occam closed and sold out. DAOmaker technically closes really soon, a couple of hours, I think.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. We've had good news so far, but I don't want to jinx anything. But it looks like that's probably going the same way as Occam. Vent did very well. They had a couple of technical issues, so they didn't quite sell everything out. But we're looking at working with them on a technical solution for that, so that shouldn't be a problem either. So that will really bring us to the end of our IDO phase, and then we're doing the TGE towards the end of this week, Thursday.
Yeah, cool. And I was also wondering, like, what are the effects of the bear market on your current sales? So I also see like Haran TV says one will up ADA. We all know we are in the bear market currently. So what are the effects on your current sales?
Well, I think it's not just our current sales. As you said, it's a bear market, so it affects the whole cryptocurrency market. You look at, for instance, BTC fall 57%. I mean, that's quite incredible, because that's historically, I think, happened like 10 years ago or something like that, something a long time ago. And you see most of the cryptocurrencies now losing about 80-90% of their value. So obviously the bear market is hitting every single sector. Now, what effects it has, obviously, is to be seen. After the sales, we will obviously have a look at it. But so far, so good. And obviously, the main reason, I suppose, we can talk about an impact from this bear market is that price of a token will reduce. I mean, we just talked about, for instance, Bitcoin losing 57%. I mean, that's incredible, but hopefully that won't happen. But this is something that's been cyclical in the market. We've seen 2 major ones, and this is nothing new. So hopefully we will fare this. the projects that will survive, obviously, to the end and through this bear market are the ones that have a solid foundation in terms of the products and the technology and the teams that are building those. And, hopefully we won't have to fare much longer in this bear market, perhaps. I mean, maybe it is long, actually, 6 months to a year and a half, probably more of it left, if we go to historical values. And so let's see what happens. But I think this is a time that I would advise, for instance, in our token, what you can do is obviously bring it, farm it, accumulate it. If you got other assets, similarly, your ADA's probably fallen from, what was it, $3 to now around 50 cents, so there's not much point in selling it. I mean, if you need to sell it, you have to sell it. But if you don't need to sell it, don't sell it. Hold tight and realistically invest. And this is not financial advice. I should obviously iterate that as well. And it's really to say this is the time you need to stack more of the coins that you have through platforms like ourselves, whereby you can essentially gain a lot more of the token that you have and other tokens possibly in farms, etc.
Yeah. Right. I agree on your thoughts about the bear market. We're all in it together. So let's hope for better times.
Hopefully, yeah.
Do you also see the questions in the chat popping up?
No. I see a chat dialog box.
Comments on the comments.
Oh, the comments.
On the right-hand
okay.
side, yeah.
Yes. Can you, for example,
when will up ADA?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that leads back to the bear market conversation, and I don't really have anything to add to what Karan said. It was a good answer. From my side, we're all in the same boat. We're all holding tokens. Karan and I have been in the market sort of five years or more. It's all the same. Ultimately, we hope maybe 6 months, but I think more realistically, it's probably 12. It's not only there's a strong correlation between the crypto market and the NASDAQ right now, and share stocks are down everywhere. So it looks like it's, inflation's up everywhere as well. So there's not going to be an appetite for crypto, I think, to the levels we saw last year for at least a year. And I think, ADA will go up probably a little bit quicker than the market. I don't think it will go up significantly quicker. BTC will lead the way, but we might go up slightly higher. Right. That's what we're hoping for. We're really hoping that when we recover, we see a pretty robust price for Cardano. So that's what I would think. I can't answer your question. I don't have a crystal ball.
But there's a related question there from Josh as well. It says, ADA is my worst performer. Well, I won't read the rest, but it's not doing well, basically, he's saying. It's true, but think about it like this, yeah? So we discussed the fact that Plutus obviously launched only in September, and, teams are building on it. But within that time space, what's happened is you've had the most development of any chain on Cardano. Okay, you've had now, I think it's around over 1,000 projects, which might not sound like a lot, but in a short period of time to actually develop a project and launch it to mainnet, that's quite a lot of projects basically happening on Cardano. And as Liam also indicated earlier, it has been quite slow to develop, but there's a good reason. It's scientifically kind of, if you like, peer reviewed in terms of the technology and what can actually be done using a scientific principle. So it does take perhaps a slower time period to develop, but eventually what you get is a third generation, obviously, blockchain that's got interoperability, it's got sustainability, and it's got scalability built into it. And that's what you'll end up with. So I think patience, Josh, is what I would say as last words there.
I agree on that. I agree on that one. And also, I want to ask a question in between. Because I also looked at your site, of course, and I saw the WRT. Can you explain me something more about what is WRT?
Yep. You want me to go first? And
we can compliment you. We always do.
Yeah. So really, I mean, there's two things happening, right? So Wingriders, the platform, we feel very strongly, and like I know a lot of projects talk about DAO formation and decentralization, but we strongly feel that this is what we want to do. There's a couple of definite milestones on our move towards full decentralization. We've met a few of those. There's still a few to come. For example, I talked about pre-DAO voting before. We were very keen to kick that off. We were doing that once the governance token's issued. We'll be doing voting, DAO voting, and that will be using WRT tokens. So the WRT token is a governance token for the whole platform. Those votes will take place from anything from, future development to new liquidity pools, new stake pools, also potentially fees and structure of the project itself. Obviously, we won't let everyone vote for zero fees on the platform because that would kill us longer term. But within reason, anything that's up for a vote, holding WRT will allow you to direct the platform. So that's the first piece around governance. I'll let Karan talk a little bit about utility, which is the second piece, which is really the function of the token through the platform.
Absolutely. I just add a little bit to that. So essentially, if anyone's wondering what is governance and how does it actually work, it's essentially the members, what they can do is propose improvements to the DEX itself and things they'd like to see. And that gets put to a vote. And that holding WRT will allow you to essentially vote on various sort of improvements and suggestions like that. So moving into sort of the utility of a token. So not only can you vote, but also there's a lot of utilities there. One of the first things is realistically, there's 100 million total supply of the coin. So scarcity in itself obviously breeds popularity in the coin because there'll only be a certain amount, and a lot of it are going to be locked away. For instance, one of the areas is our agents that batch these transactions. They will have to lock away about a portion of their WRT or a lot of their WRT in order to become an agent. Currently, it's centralized. When we become decentralized, the collateral they will have to put will also lock away more. And there'll be lots of programs like this. It'll be in farms, etc., etc. It'll have a dedicated farm. So the WRT token will have a dedicated farm where you can gain more. It'll have a booster effect as well. So, for instance, you're putting in depositing, for instance, into a farm, and the fact that you hold WRT will provide boosters, so you get more gains essentially from that farm by just holding WRT. So that's a really good one as well. It'll also give you kind of access to various sort of NFTs and FTs exclusively at better rates. For instance, it'll give you access to the actual platform sort of information and statistics, which you won't generally get. And it'll just be the asset, I suppose, of preference in many ways that you want to use on the platform because there's a lot of advantages to it. So I think, have I covered everything there, I think, Liam?
Yeah, I think we went through everything. I was just having a look. We've got so many utility functions, so I just wanted to make sure they're all done. So yeah, that's pretty much everything. Ultimately, it will affect the probability that you come up in airdrops and other rewards like that. We covered that. It'll be another asset that you can farm. It will be the rewards for the pools. Yeah, all the things you covered. So yeah, I think we've covered everything.
Cool. So related to this, like it's a question to Dan. Dan asks us, like, when can we start earning WRT?
Well, you already can. So if you've been farming with us since the farm started, many of the farms essentially have a WRT reward. So though you don't get it physically, if you like, or virtually, however you like to think about that, when the TGE happens, obviously that will take a kind of like physical form of the token. So people who've been farming with us have already been earning that. And the other ways is obviously to gain the token or get the token have been the IDOs and the whitelist. And again, as Liam indicated, on Thursday when the TGE happens, that will be released. Of course, pending the vesting sort of contract. So, for instance, the IDO platforms have a public vesting schedule whereby you get a certain percentage at the beginning, which is 15%, then 60 days of a lockup, and then it gets released again on a monthly sort of linear basis for the next sort of 10 months after that, so 12 months altogether. So they all have different, depending how you actually got it, you'll have a different type of vesting schedule. I think that's what I would say about that, really.
All right, I think that's clear. Then, if you have any more questions, feel free to ask them in the chat. So I was wondering, like, more general, what are your views on decentralization?
Very interesting question. Yeah, I mean, it's like the pinnacle of any project, a Web3 project to be decentralized. What does it actually mean? Yeah, you build a platform, and unlike a centralized organization, you turn that whole structure on its head, and the members or the WRT holders, in our case, for instance, then govern realistically where that goes. Now, the thing to obviously understand is that it doesn't happen like by pressing a button and decentralized or centralized. It happens in a very gradual basis. And there's so many features, obviously, on a DEX that each feature as it comes out. For instance, I mentioned the batching model we have and the agents that do that. Currently, is centralized. Okay, why is it centralized? It's centralized because the whole system has to be kind of stress tested, and we have to see what the faults are and what the good things are, and then eventually, when all of that is resolved, you go towards decentralizing it. But if you think about it, a DEX like ours is very much kind of born with a lot of decentralized sort of features, non-custodial. So no one holds your funds but yourself. So that's very decentralized if you think about it. Also, it's sort of trustless. You don't have to trust Wingriders to carry out, for instance, the holding of your tokens and doing it. You do it all yourself. So it's very much decentralized. But there's many other features, and we're going to be releasing a lot of these features in the coming months. So from now to the next, probably, I think 9 months, right, Liam? We're going to be releasing many of the kind of governance features and the decentralized versions of this. And the fact is, you don't have to trust the middleman. Think about it like that in a very simple way.
Yeah, I mentioned before, there's a couple of really clear milestones for us. So we talked about pre-DAO voting. That's obviously prior to the token release. Then there's stake pool voting. So stake pool voting we've already implemented. We've met that milestone. This means you can vote where you can deploy your ADA, and so you can earn through your normal ADA staking, and you can choose which pools. Then once we have the token allocated, we can start to have official governance votes governed by the blockchain, where it's very transparent and straightforward, and everyone can sort of see the outcome of those votes. The next step from that will be the decentralized batching, the agents. There'll be 1 or 2 more steps, and then where we'll really be is a completely decentralized autonomous organization, and then really the platform should be able to run itself at that point in time. That's all I had on that one.
Yeah, I think Cardano News, have we got you there?
Yeah, I think
it's a sound issue, perhaps. Maybe we can tackle one of these questions. Sorry.
Yeah, let's have a look. George has got a couple. He's asking, will ADA outperform Ethereum in the long run? That's a tough one to predict, but it depends what you mean by outperform. If you're talking about returns, then what Ethereum got to 3,800 at the full peak of the market, and it is where it is now. So if we went back to that bull market position today, you'd be up 3.5. Can ADA go from where it is now to better than a 3.5 return? Yeah, I think that's quite feasible, right? If ADA went to $5 today, that'd be a 10x return. So if you're talking pure, return on investment, those type of things, this is not financial advice, but I'm saying, yeah, I think it's quite feasible to get to $5. In terms of that, will it be as big as Ethereum? Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's, I think, early days, right? And the only thing you can look at for this kind of information is historical information. So if you're wondering what might happen this time, you should go back and look at the cycles before, look at the token prices, look at what they did in the bear market, look at what they did when, for instance, Bitcoin hit 6.5 grand, then it fell to 3.5 grand in the COVID period, and look at the prices then, and look at how they recovered, and that gives you a fairly good guesstimate of where a token can go to. But as Liam rightly said, yeah, it's very hard to say, is it going to take over Ethereum? It's very early days. Ethereum has been developed since 2015, so it has a 7-year lead, basically. And yeah, a lot of catching up.
All right, that's great to hear. I hope you can hear me better right now.
We can hear you now.
So I think Dan is also asking a really interesting question about the project itself, like how is Wingriders different than Meld, for example?
You just kick this one off, Karan.
Yeah, sure. Meld is really kind of like a full stack banking DeFi protocol. We're a DEX, so there's two kind of fairly different sort of genres there. And if you look at DeFi, there's lending, borrowing protocols, etc., etc. So we're a DEX. They're really a full stack banking solution for for Cardano. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they have, like, for instance, they're going to be implementing, or they have, for instance, the fiat on ramping and off ramping. Last time I kind of looked into their project. So that's the distinction I would make.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's also Meld is, yeah, like Karan said, Meld is a banking application, and we're really looking at being an infrastructure piece, right? So our focus will be around really building out pools and opportunities for people to earn, where I think Meld will also begin to move into that space. So there probably in the future there will be some overlap. It's just where we're also starting. You know, we started with essentially the AMM piece, so that's a little bit different in perspective and outlook. So yeah, there's not really an overlap. If you look at the DEX projects versus Meld, we all have a slightly different approach.
Yeah, so the distinction is they are a lending and borrowing platform, and they have fiat on ramping, and we're a decentralized exchange with other services. But that said, and Liam indicated, we are moving to become a DeFi hub at some point or another in the future, where you get a multitude of services on there, where users can use it and obviously make various types of gains and have various types of utilities in terms of using the platform itself. We
got that same problem with your sound again, yeah.
Let's try and look at the questions.
Yeah, I think we're.
I'm blind as a bat.
So. George, what else have we got? Is it technically possible to allow for catalyst voting while having ADA in liquidity pools? I'm not clear what he means by catalyst voting.
No, I saw that as well. I don't understand what catalyst voting. If you could clarify what you mean by there, just in the chat.
Yeah, Ali, if you could. Okay, so the question above is, is it technically feasible to allow ADA liquidity pair pools to delegate to multiple stake pools officers?
Well, no. Not the same pool.
Yeah.
So that's the short answer. So no. What happens is there's a voting process within that pool that you've got your liquidity in, and obviously there's a threshold for what vote sort of majority wins, and then it's delegated to just one pool. So you got a pair, so you got a binary pool, essentially ADA and MELD, let's say, and that pool votes where it wants all the ADA to be staked, and it will only be in one pool. So it won't be going to various pools just because, you know, different people wanted to go there. Hopefully that answers.
Yeah, I mean, just to get to that technically feasible part, I'm not a developer, so I'm not entirely sure, but it's not something that we currently have functional. But yeah, I will ask, and I'll talk to the tech team, and I'll post an answer as a comment on the YouTube channel in the next day or two when I've got a clear answer. But at this stage, it's not something we can do.
And there's an interesting question here from Dan again. In terms of governance, I was wondering, how far will the decentralization go? As is choosing who are the key members that can make the changes to the platform. A short answer to that, Dan, is really okay, within technical and legal boundaries, it will be the members. Okay, there are different votes on sort of gravity. What I mean is there are more important votes and less important votes. So the more important votes will have higher thresholds, for instance, for participation in the voting, and also they will have a much more stringent system, because obviously it may affect sort of technical or some other really important area of the DEX, and to just have a casual vote about it probably wouldn't work, because maybe I'm not well informed about what that change actually does in the long run, if that makes sense. And generally the other types of decentralization, the aim is full decentralization. Okay, so you become a decentralized autonomous organization. That means run by the members, for the members, and they change the direction. They can vote, for instance, who's in, who's out, in terms of the management of even the DEX itself. So, even choosing, who runs it. So even choosing, what fees to charge and what not to charge. So really, it's for the members, by the members, if that makes sense. And who are the members? The people who own the governance tokens, WRT.
And it's certainly possible. I mean, the members will be able to vote on initiatives in regards to spending, right? So spending the treasury of the platform. So if they, potentially it could be a vote around who wants to be the legal advisor, right? If the platform wants to become legal or or pursue regulation, when there's more clarity around regulation, that would probably be a vote. And so there might then be a conversation around which lawyers we want to work with. So there's definitely an opportunity using the voting system to consider key members of the platform. Yeah.
Cool. I think that's clear for Dan as well. So I hope you can hear me better right now.
Yeah, that's better.
Yes.
Perfect. So I had another question, actually the last question that pops up on my mind. I was wondering, will your token be listed on CEX?
Yeah, so we've already announced via our Twitter that we'll be listing on Gate.io, actually this week, right? Just after the TGE, that'll be happening. We've actually been approached by probably another 3 or 4 centralized exchanges. We're in some conversations with those guys. Really, from our perspective, we want to get listed on one and make sure that we can effectively manage that. That gives everyone an exit opportunity. But longer term, we would definitely consider more CEXs for sure.
Cool, that's interesting to hear. So we can, from this week onwards, you said, right, on the Gate.io platform.
Yeah, Gate.io will be this week. We'll announce other ones as they come along. I don't think there'll be anything, another one this month, right? So it might be a little bit of time. We just really want to expand in a manageable way. Really get on the Gate one, make sure that everyone's got an opportunity to get their hands on a token in a secondary market. That's really important to us. And then from there, so if you're not signed up for Gate and you want to get into Wingriders and you've missed the IDOs, that's the way to go, definitely for sure. Set up your account, because it will take you probably 24 to 48 hours to get KYC'd. I'm not sure of the backlog there, but yeah, start signing up now if you're interested. But yeah, more news to come on that.
Yeah, as you just mentioned, that we're just preparing it, guys. I was preparing it today, how to register, how to do the KYC. It's quite straightforward, but obviously to be prepared, get started early. There is information on their site before our blog is published, obviously. Hopefully we'll publish it by tomorrow, but just go down to gate.io and check out kind of how you register. You can register on the web or on your mobile phone. They have an app as well for iOS and Android. So get down there and get ready to buy some WRT.
Yeah. Thanks very much, Cardano News. We really appreciate it.
Yeah,
yes,
absolutely.
Do you have anything to say else to the viewers?
No, I mean, thanks very much for your support. I hope this was interesting. Come over and follow us on Twitter, join our Discord. That's the best way to get information about the project. And we'll see you on Gate trading WRT by the end of the week.
Absolutely. Thank you very much to all the viewers and listeners.
Thanks,
you.
guys.
All right. Thank you very much.
You.
See you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Take care.